Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tuesday Nights Nonfiction Post SHTF Book Club. Let me go through my stack of books here and grab this one. I did get a new one in the mail, or actually from Amazon today. So this is my newest one. It's a commentary on the book of Luke. Just a piece of trivia for those of you, I don't know if you know it or not, but when they canonized the Bible in 425 AD, at the Second Council of Rome, Pope Clement V, I believe, the book of Luke was extremely long. So they decided to divide it in half. And so the book of Luke became up to the resurrection. And then everything that happened in the book after the resurrection, they converted into, when they split it off, they converted that into the book of Acts. So Luke and Acts were actually all one real big, long book at one time. But anyhow, that's what we're studying in our men's Bible study is the book of Luke. So had to get that and get ready for that. We're also studying Greek, believe it or not. So Koine. And so I'm learning another one of those biblical languages. Isn't that something? But so happy to see you all here. Listen, I know some of you are shocked. Some of you see your name in blue with a wrench next to it. Let me start off by thanking Triple G Farms, by thanking the Exorist, by thanking several of you. We had a challenge last night on the live stream, and I think you all did a phenomenal job of trying to be kind, polite, and respectful to the person. And I think I tried to be kind, polite, and respectful as well, and let him know that, sometimes chat kind of goes downhill or it becomes non-existent when people feel that they're, part of the family has been encroached upon by somebody else who is saying something that they're not used to hearing. And so I said, you might want to consider the fact that maybe that has stifled chat. So that your mere presence. But and then somebody texted me and said, "Hey, Lee, can I go ahead and just put this guy in timeout or ban him?" I said, "Let's give him an opportunity. Let's see if they can't mend the ways. Let me see if I can address it." And I did address it, and that moderator felt that the person was still abusing the channel, and so they put him in timeout for 5 minutes, and that made him a little bit more upset. And so he's threatened us and said that he's going to go out and tell everybody that we violated his First Amendment rights, although I am not the government and I didn't violate his rights. But so I decided I need more moderators. And so if anybody else would like to become a moderator, and you've been on here for a while and I know you and trust you, please let me know. But our new moderators that I arbitrarily appointed, you don't have to do it if you don't want to. You still have the privileges. And this is not in order of preference or anything like that. This is just, I remembered that I needed to write it down and let you know. Sue Me, Holly Ivans, Diana 2, Devil Dog Prepper, Phioxerus, Cats and Prepping, and Muskoka Oma, as well as Maggie, who is under the title Aussie Life. So Maggie and I exchanged some text messages today talking about this and everything else, and I really appreciate her and I appreciate the value she brings to the channel. So all those people that I mentioned, they have been with us quite a while. I know them. I trust them. I watch them in chat, and I believe that they're going to do an outstanding job. So thank you all very, very much. If there's somebody else who would like to be considered to be a moderator, please let me know so I can add you to that, because I don't want to obligate anybody to be here if they don't want to be here. And, sometimes you feel as a moderator, you're obligated to be there. Please don't feel that way. But I do want to thank you all for the way you handled it last night. You were just phenomenal. Thank you so much. So hello, R2D2, Maggie, Aussie Life, South Florida, DCL. Let me see. Gray Man Gil, Gray Man Prepping. Welcome. Good to see you, my friend. Don't forget, he has a live that immediately follows this one. So I'm going to encourage you to go over to his live immediately after this one. He has a live on Monday nights that precedes mine. Then he has a live on Tuesday nights that follows mine. So, but Gil's a great guy, and I encourage you to follow him. You're going to learn an awful lot. Butch Graves. Oh, that's a name I should add to that list. Golly, yeah. Okay, let me add Butch here to give him a moderator. So Butch Graves, welcome. Let me see who else here. Okay, that looks like that's it for a while, huh? Sumi, Diana 2. Diana 2, how come your name's not in blue? I thought I gave you, let me get here. Let's check this over here. I thought I gave you moderator authority today. I'll have to check into that. Muskoka Oma, welcome. Utah Mike, welcome. Teammate, that's a Turkey 32, TRQ 32. That's what we called it. That was one of our two-man intercept op. So Utah Mike, would you like to be a moderator? You're another one of those that's been on here for a while that I trust. Teresa Buchanan, would you like to be a moderator? And who was it I just said? Utah Mike. I have to write things down, and I'm so old that if I don't write it down, I'll forget it. But then I have to have my wife remind me to read my notes. So, that's just how it is once you reach the bright old age. And let me see. Gosh, anybody else? Blue Moon Acres, welcome. North Texas. What part of North Texas? I think of Denton as North Texas, and other people, think they're a little bit further, less north than that. I'm in Central Texas. Austin metropolitan area is where I am. So welcome. And Triple G Farms, if he ever gets in here, is also from Central Texas. There's somebody who was on here who is not far from me, about 12 miles from me. And I said, we need to get together for coffee. And then there was somebody here just the other night also from Central Texas. So we're getting a large Texas following. That's pretty good. Okay. So Teresa says that she will be a moderator. So I will get that fixed after this tonight. Thank you, Teresa. I appreciate that. So let me get that. We've got you. We will get you taken care of. And let me see anybody else. All right. There we go. Okay. So we're on week 7 out of 13 weeks that we'll be doing this. So we're at the halfway point. If you're following his recommendations as far as getting 2,000 calories a day for 2 people, I need to close down some of these. Let me see. I don't want to close down Bible in a year, but I'm starting to see a little bit of a degradation because of the fact that I'm got so many tabs open. I need to close some, and that way we can close down that one. This is 10 ways to cook bread over campfire by Outdoor. He has a fantastic channel. He's an attorney. And he is basically, and then I have another one of his videos open here. This is my ham radio technician study course. Okay, let's see if that cleared things up and I look a little bit better and I'm not getting that interference from having too many tabs open. Oh, it looks better. Great. Not that I look better. I wish I could, but that's who was it I was talking to today? Talking about stress, and part of the stress is having to look at yourself in the mirror. So, okay. So let's we go back to if you are following his recommendations as far as acquiring 10 months worth of food for 2 people at 2,000 calories per person per day, then we should have for this last week acquired. Let me see. That's table of contents. I knew that's why it doesn't look right. Here we go. So you should have purchased 8 cans of tomato soup, 20 pounds of sugar, 8 cans of tuna, and 6 pounds of shortening. Then this week, coming up, I'm sorry, that was for week 6. For week 7, for today, you should have purchased, golly, My English is getting bad. Should have purchased 50 pounds of flour, wheat, 5 pounds of honey, 10 pounds of powdered milk, and 20 pounds of sugar. Then for next week, in preparation for week number 8, so let me get this written in here. Divide this up and keep track here. 7, oops, wrong pen. 7, 8. So for next week, you need to pick up 5 pounds of peanut butter. I recommend peanut butter powder if possible. It has a way longer shelf life than normal peanut butter. And my wife complains when her Jif goes a little bit rancid. I mean, big time. She's a big time Jif eater. 50 pounds of flour or wheat, 7 boxes of macaroni and cheese. Do me a favor, vacuum seal those unless you get the ones that have the semi-liquid pasty cheese in a tin. That will last a little bit longer. But if you get the ones that are powdered, they have a tendency to clump up after a while. So you might want to vacuum seal that. You need to vacuum seal it anyway because of the macaroni. And then 10 pounds of powdered milk, and that will get you. So that's what we're going to need to purchase in order to be prepared for next week. Oh gosh, I'm starting to wheeze. Let me get some, let me fix that real quick. Okay. Oh, wow. Thank you, Maggie. So Maggie has used the peanut butter powered and she uses it in her power bars. Let me tell you. So I am an affiliate with, you can't see it. I'll have to move my, so I am an affiliate with Nutrient Survival. They have 3 different types of survival bars. I strongly recommend them. I really like the peanut butter bars. Helen likes the chocolate chip bars, but they're good bars and they're nutrient enhanced. They have added vitamins and minerals and everything else. Wheezing's not going away, so we'll use a different one. Okay. Hello, Theoxerus. What do you think of your new blue name instead of black? Thank you for your assistance last night with that one person. Thank you for being kind, polite, and respectful. I do appreciate that. The way that you as a community handled that, I was extremely impressed with. You were very, and that's what I like about this channel, what we've turned it into collectively as one group. You know, I see this as being your channel as much as mine. Yeah, it's mine and I'm ultimately responsible for it. But you're the people who make the comments and police each other and encourage people to be kind, polite, and respectful to each other. So, you know, thank you so much. You guys do such a phenomenal job. It's just unbelievable. So thank you so much for being who you are and helping the way you do. And of course, thank you for the value you add in the comments section because you really do add great comments. Freedom Nugget 74, welcome. Great to see you. That's a new name. Hope you like us and stay with us. Let me see who else here. So Sumi says she buys the cheese powder rather than mac and cheese. I do the same. Now, today I'm preparing my pantry haul for Saturday. I went to Walmart today. I picked up some things. I'm going to be talking specifically about soups because I think that's the easiest, fastest, cheapest way to get a long-term storage pantry set up. And one of the things that I strongly recommend is the cheddar cheese soup. I believe that I think Great Value has a version of it. I picked up the Campbell's version today, but you can open up that cheddar cheese soup concentrate and use it to go with macaroni and cheese as well. So that's another solution. Ragu has both individual packets of pasta sauce, but they also have the packets of cheese sauce for your stuff. And so that goes well with the macaroni and cheese as well. So there's all kinds of ways that we can accomplish this. And, you know, macaroni and cheese is a very good meal. In Germany, they use egg noodles. They call them Spätzle. And they will add into that some onions that they've sauteed, as well as ham. So you have Spätzle, which is the German egg noodles, ham, cheese, and onions, and then they put that all together and then they bake it a second time, and as a casserole, and it's called Spätzle Doppelbach or Spätzle twice cooked, and it's marvelous. That's what Helen fixes for me for my birthday every year for my birthday meal. So I get Jaeger Schnitzel, which is basically the schnitzel. It's a pounded cutlet, and then it's got the coating of breadcrumbs and flour, and deep fat fried with a onion and mushroom sauce, brown onion and mushroom sauce that's poured over it with Spätzle Doppelbach. And then Rotkohl, which is red cabbage. And I like Aunt Nellie's red cabbage. I've probably got 24 jars of that in my pantry. The lettuce, spinach, cabbage, those are going to be a little bit hard to store. So I go with the red cabbage as far as one of those. Sauerkraut is another one I store a long time for long-term cabbage. Of course, spinach is going to be another one of those that you can store. And then you can get some other things that are nice to have along with that. So you can have some salads. So Muskoka Oma, if you just keep track of this is set up. And of course, if you buy the book, it's set up for 52 weeks. We're just kind of speeding it up because I don't think we have 52 weeks before we're going to need them. So we're trying to do 4 weeks every week. So certainly, if you're just writing it down or purchase the book and then doing it in the order that he recommends, that will get you where you want to go. So after 52 weeks, you'll have a 10-month supply of food for 2 people at 2,000 calories per person per day. Good going, Diana, too. Fantastic. Let me see. Devil Dog Pepper, welcome. Good to see you this evening as well. With these two, no, I don't. With the this is Advair. With the Spiriva, yes, I do. So when I take Spiriva, I have to rinse my mouth out, or I do get thrush. That's you're absolutely correct on that. So this one is Pro Air. So the Pro Air is 2 puffs twice a day. The Advair is 2 puffs twice a day, and then Spiriva is 2 puffs once a day, and I do that in the morning. So and then I'm on oxygen at night when I sleep. So, but that's going to be one of those medical things I'm going to be concerned about. Breathing in a post-apocalyptic world. We'll see. Hopefully, I've got enough stored up. I've been kind of doing half of what I should. That's why I start wheezing sometimes late in the evening. Is I don't take the full amount so that I have enough to where it'll last me maybe a year or two afterwards. Oh, wow. Unbelievable. Yeah. What Cats and Prepping, if you can find that, now that you're a moderator, you can add that link in here so people can watch it if you want to. And please, moderators, here are some rules for you. I'm not going to call them rules. Let's call them guidelines. Here's some things. I trust you. As I told Triple G last night, I called him afterwards, and we had a really good hour-long discussion. I trust you guys. You are the ones who are helping me to build this channel. This is your channel as much as it is mine. You know what you want to have here, and you know what you don't want to have here. So we would love to have new people come and join us. But at the same time, we want them to be like us so that we can continue to share our experiences, continue to share our dreams, continue to share our experiences, our advice, our what works and what doesn't work with each other. That's the whole thing. So I trust you. So if somebody's not meeting your expectations of what they on the channel, yeah, certainly let them know. Be kind, be polite, and let them know. Hey, guys, we don't appreciate that kind of comment here, and please refrain from it in the future. And then if they don't succumb to your desires or your kind and polite way of letting them know that we don't have that, then yes, please put them in timeout. Or if you feel you need to ban them after you put them in timeout and they get belligerent or anything like that, absolutely. If somebody is belligerent, disrespectful, race, color, creed, national origin, any of those things, To you, ban them immediately. Okay, I I'm not thin-skinned. They can say things against me all they want to. That doesn't bother me. That's like that guy last night. Once I let him know that I had done some tours with First Group and 10th Group, and I knew a little bit about Special Forces. I am not Special Forces qualified. I'm barely qualified to shine those guys' boots. They are professionals. They are marvelous people. I'm an MI guy. I'm a puke. I mean, compared to them, you know, I'm a seamstress. But once I let him know that I had some experience, and then he couldn't BS us anymore. He didn't try to do that too much anymore. So let me see. And so that's one. I try to keep on topic. So proselytizing or anything like that. Also, let's be respectful, but just say, that's not what we want to do here. Yes, we're a religious channel. Yes, we believe in religious beliefs. Yes, we have, we believe, but that's what tells us to be kind, polite, and respectful to each other. We are here not to be convinced to join a different religion or to succumb to the way somebody else's believes. We are here to help each other survive what's coming. And what we do as far as preparing ourselves spiritually, preparing ourselves mentally, that's up to each one of us. And so but what we do want to focus on here on the channel is how do we help each other survive physically. So that's the purpose of this channel. There are other channels that help with the spiritual, and I would encourage you to find those out, seek those out, because we want to have people who spiritually who have the same belief system that we do. And so that's not always going to be on this channel. So I guess that's enough about that. Okay, so let's see where we are. And anything else in here? Let me see. It looks like Gil is agreeing with me on something here. And thirdly, the code is more guidelines than actual. Yep, absolutely. See if I missed anything up here. Hey, welcome, Triple G Farms. Good to see you. I was bragging about you, so you have to watch the replay now to see how I bragged about you. So thank you for that, taking care of that issue last night. I greatly appreciate it. Made a whole bunch of extra moderators. You'll see them here. And so that's where we are. Okay, let's get into this exciting book. Please support this guy. He put an awful lot of work into this book. It's a phenomenal book. A lot of good things. You can use it as a weekly preparation guide. If you think we have 52 weeks left before you need this stuff, then you can follow it on a week-by-week basis. We're speeding it up. We're doing 4 weeks at a time, so we'll be done with it in 13 weeks instead of 52, only because my personal opinion is we're going to need this way before then. I wish there was a way I could show this to you, but a friend of mine, actually, he's part of our group, my tribe or mag or whatever, part of the Texas Preparedness Group. He used to be our group leader, as a matter of fact, until COVID hit. But he, well, I shouldn't have said that word, should I? Whoops. But anyhow, he sent us one today, and they interviewed some Chinese people who just come across the border, and evidently the Chinese Christians are seeking asylum here because of the persecution against Christians in China. And so this guy at the border, using Google Translate, asked him a question, and it was, "Hey, no, it's me buffering, Gil. I have too many tabs open, and so I need to probably close one or two more. Let me see what I can do. The Savage American Battleship Duel, and we'll close that one. Let me read this to you. I wanted to read it to you, so I'll read it, and then I'll no, I won't. That's religious. I don't want to do that. That would make me a hypocrite if I did that, because even though it's not a Christian religion, but it's a great thing. It's just do a Google search for "I asked God for strength." Okay, and it's a fantastic poem. And I think it's very applicable to where we are in our needs today. So I'm not going to subject you to that. How's that? Okay. Where's my bookmark? There it is. Okay. So we've got 4 skills that we're going to be doing today. And we're going to start with project number 25, making Dulce de Leche, which is basically the sweet of cream, or sweet cream. So basically, he goes through what you're going to need: a can of evaporated milk, some equipment, water, and either a pressure cooker and steamer basket or a crock pot, one or the other. And he goes through how to make, think of it as kind of like caramel, a form of caramel. And it would be a fantastic dessert for you as you go through what you're going to do. Project 26 is how to make ghee. I think this is going to be extremely critical. Ghee is clarified butter. And so when you buy, do I have a can up here as a demonstration? No, I don't have a can up there as a demonstration. When you buy powdered butter, unfortunately, they cannot freeze dry or dehydrate fats. So the fat, which is really what you use for cooking, is basically extracted from the butter, and it's not there. So when you have powdered butter, you're not going to have the fat portion of it. You're going to have mostly the taste effect of it. So you're not going to be able to use it in a lot of the typical ways that you would use fats. So the way around that is you want to clarify your butter and make it into ghee. Now, if you remember, let me get my wallet out here. I have this little card that I keep in my wallet of basically what I get on a rotating basis. So 1 week I'll get bacon up, which is a bacon grease that it comes in. It's about $6 for about 12-ounce tub of bacon grease. My next one I get is ghee. That's about $8 for about 12, 14 ounces of clarified butter. And I can get that either at HEB or at Walmart. Then last week I got the ghee. So this week I got a bottle of vegetable oil. And then I'm going to start all over again because I got out of sequence. I don't know how I got out of sequence, but the first weekend of the month, I'll get bacon up, then ghee, then vegetable oil, and then maple syrup. And then at the end of the month, if there's a 5th weekend I'll get some more molasses, which is another form of sweetener. And so that's the rotation that I do on that. Now I do the same kind of rotation with canned soups. So, and I don't have them written here. Probably should do that so I don't get too much of any one thing. But I get cream of mushroom, cream of chicken, cheddar cheese, French onion, and there's one more, tomato soup. So I alternate those 5 soups, and I try to get one every. Now, when I went to Walmart today, I got one of each so that I can do a video tomorrow on. You need to have these because they're going to be good bases of almost anything you cook, casserole-wise or anything else. So I bought new cans just so I could show you without the dates and everything on them. And but anyhow, ghee is something you want to know how you can get it so much cheaper if you make it yourself. But you can buy them if you're lazy like I am and buy them at the store pre-made. Is it safe to pressure can ghee, or is that considered rebel canning? I don't know the answer to that. So hopefully somebody here, I bet you Maggie knows. Oh, wow, Diana, that's great. Yeah, and so flour is, what do they call that? I forget. They use flour to make glue as well. We used to make it when I was in elementary school. Maggie says that ghee should be shelf safe as is. You can take an extra measure by using a vacuum seal, but it isn't really necessary. Okay, great. So she's already answered that. Let me see. I found when I had night guard duty, I craved sweets to replace the sleep I was missing, and I don't have a sweet tooth. And caffeine is another one. So between sugar, which is a stimulant, and caffeine, which is a stimulant, those are the 2 things that quite often used to keep people awake late at night. Let me see. Holly says ghee does not get pressure canned. Pour the hot ghee in a ball jar and put the lid on it. So yes. So here's another thing and this is simple science, but Holly brings up a very important point. That anytime you put something that's hot inside a container, when it's hot, it expands, and as it cools, it condenses. Okay. So if you fill a can up close to the top, and it's hot, that's at its expanded volume. So as it cools, once you put that pressure sealer on there, once it cools, it's going to condense and it's going to form its own vacuum. So that is a form, and that's basically what you're doing with pressure canning. Okay, is you're putting that lid on, and you've got your hand tight, you've got putting the seal on, then the lid. Then as you pressure cook the contents, you're warming it up, and as it warms up, it's expanding and forcing the existing air out through the seal. And then as it starts to cool, the seal comes back down, and that's what forms the pressure vacuum. So yeah, it's the same principle. Pressure canning, heat canning, same thing. There are some people who do dry heat canning, and that is they use the pressure canning methodology, but they just do it in their oven. So yeah, it's the same thing, basically. Okay, so Gil says that to check out Rebel Canners, and Tammy has videos on how to make ghee. So Gil, can you find one and throw up the link here for people? I would greatly appreciate that. Gosh, Cats and Prepping, we're already halfway through, and I haven't gotten that far on it yet. And Gil says that he also has videos on water bath canning. That's great. The Rose Red Homestead is another one. She is actually a PhD, and she has a lot of fantastic videos on canning, food preservation, the whole bed. Rose Red Homestead. And she's really, really great. She's in southern Arizona, if I remember correctly. Okay. Now, let's get back to this. So we were talking about ghee, which was Project 26. We're going to go to Project 27. So there's all kinds of what I like about this is as he does this step by step, there's all kinds of color pictures for those of us who can't read. Project 27 is a garbage canned cold smoker. So he shows how to take a garbage can and turn it into a smoker. Now, remember, so we talked about this a couple weeks ago. The old methods of preserving stuff were smoking and salting. So I think those are going to be our two primary ways of preservation in a post-apocalyptic world. So he's covering both of those. He's covering way back when we did the salt. And remember, you're looking for 100% salt with no anti-caking agents in it or anything like that. Look at the contents and make sure that it's just the only ingredient is salt, and that's good for any drying out any of the meat. Now, remember, you want to wash that off before you cook it. In the Navy, they take the salt pork and just throw it in the pot and cook it with the salt because all they could wash it with was salt water. But anyhow, the second method, of course, is canning. Which is kind of a way in and of itself. And he discusses that here under Making Ghee, but he does have another one on canning as well. The other long-term natural methodology is smoking. And that's what we're talking about here, is basically creating your own smoker. Then the last one, Project 28 for this week, is link sausage, how to make link sausage. There's all kinds of companies. Thrive Life makes it. Augustin Farms, Mountain House, Rainy Day Foods, Emergency Essentials. I mean, most of the major companies have crumbled sausage in number 10 cans or number 2.5 PC cans, freeze dried. Trying to find link sausage or trying to find patty sausage that has been freeze dried or dehydrated is really difficult. I found one or two turkeys. I found one or two chickens. But where I found those is a place called Freeze Dry Wholesalers. Now, this is the guy in the blue packages, and his company basically um, does the sausages and everything. Well, his company is the number one provider of freeze dried food for the Navy, and so they use his products to supplement, the frozen stuff that they have on aircraft carriers and destroyers and submarines and all that kinds of stuff. So, and really intriguing. He does have very high quality. Canadian Prepper will occasionally eat his stuff, rehydrate it in his mouth, and eat it. But he has good tasting stuff. I've ordered his meatballs. I've ordered his pork chops. Let me see, what else do I have of his? Oh, hamburger patties. Because he has meatloaf as well. He has slices of meatloaf. So those are just some of the things. When you get freeze dried ground beef, it's difficult to rehydrate that and turn it into something like a meatloaf or a patty or something like that. You're going to have to get some sort of a binding agent because there just isn't that much fat there. It's going to be pure lean. So trying to form it into a patty or into a loaf is difficult. So when you can get something pre-made, a meatloaf or a patty, like you can from freeze dry wholesalers, then that's great. I would get those. But they can be expensive. I think the patties end up being like $5 a patty if you want to have a hamburger that desperately. So anyhow, in his sausage that he makes, he says you need sea salt, fennel seeds, ground sage, garlic powder, onion powder, white pepper, and dried parsley. And so that's his recipe for it. Of course, you can do your own. But that's basically the 4 projects that we have for this week. So if you do one purchase and one project a week, you're going to have it made. If, on the other hand, you're like expediting this because we feel that things are getting out of hand, then make sure you do 4 of those. So speaking of things getting out of hand, so the head of the FRS, which is the Federal basically reconnaissance service, it is the replacement for the KGB, which is the Komitet Государственной Безопасности, or the Committee for State Security, KGB. So the FSB has replaced the KGB, but the head of that announced today that the 4 people from ISIS, even though ISIS is taking credit for it and everything else, he's saying don't believe what they say because we believe that they were Ukrainians, and so we're going to take our retribution against the Ukrainians, the UK, and the US, because we believe that the UK and the US are egging Ukraine on to do things like this. So keep your head on a swivel. Things are not looking that great. The opportunity for some sort of confrontation increases daily. Who is this? Sumi says patty sausage can be home canned just like hamburger patties. Great. Yes. Let me see. What do we have? So Maggie did a test bag of sausage patties that has another month before you can open it and test it with my test strips. Okay. Jeannie Barnes. Did I miss somebody new? Wow. I'm so sorry. Hello, Jeannie Barnes. Welcome. Great to see you. It's always nice to see a new face. And I hope you can add as much value as all these other fantastic people in the chat. Devil Dog. So I'm jealous. Maggie has one right now. So you're getting a freeze dryer as well. We just don't have space for it here. If as a matter of fact, I had to kind of get Helen to agree that I could have a little bit more room in the guest room for food in order to get these cans, and then my monthly orders from Thrive Life. And by the way, my monthly order from Thrive Life for this month. Let me get that tab here real quick. I will tell you what I'm ordering. A year ago, 2 years ago, this would have been, I would have had to have ordered something else to get my $100 to get free shipping. Now, with the prices of everything the way they are, this is going to be a $200 order. And gosh, and it's not even a full case. I can't believe it, how prices have gone up. But for the 4th of April order, where I am right now is I've got a number 10 can of diced beef, a number 2.5 can of tomatoes, a number 10 can of seasoned chicken slices, and a number 10 can of cinnamon apples. So what I've done the last couple of days is I've been looking, the fried apples you get at Cracker Barrel, some people consider it a side, some people consider it dessert. Well, as I've been working on getting my stock of apples up for my apple cobbler, and by the way, right now I'm only got one apple cobbler a month. I have 12 for 1 year. So if you want to fit one a week, remember it's going to have to have 52 of those. So 52 boxes of cake mix, 104 cans of fruit, whatever that is, or 50, like I'm doing half and half. So 52 cans of canned fruit and 52 cans of freeze-dried or dehydrated fruit that I will rehydrate and then mix the two together. That's what that spiced, cinnamon spiced apples that I'm ordering is going to be for. So I can mix it with the apples and it'll already have the cinnamon mixed into it. So Gil's talking about on his other channel, Camp Patton Family Compound, we, Rebel Canners and Chef Tech and I, have been doing live streams on canning on Mondays this year. So that's what I missed last night. I'm sorry. And I didn't realize you were doing Mondays or I would have been there. So that's great. Okay, so where are we? Gosh, an awful lot of chat I need to catch up. Fioxer says he has a hard time believing that Ukraine was behind the attack. I agree, but if you take now, so here is Lee's opinion on the options that these terrorists had if they're in Moscow. So you can go to either Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania. That would be probably the closest route of escape. Other than that, what borders does Russia have? So Russia basically has borders with 4 countries that are not friendly to Russia. And that's going to be Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia. And actually, if you go from north to south, it's Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania. And then you've got Belarus, which is one of their biggest supporters. Then Ukraine, and that's it. Then down to the south, you have former Soviet republics, Azerbaijan, Georgia, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, all the stand countries. So, really, there's only 4 countries that the terrorists could escape to get away from any persecution by the Russians. And that would be the 3 Baltic countries. And then, up on the Kola Peninsula, they also have a very long border with Finland. But I don't think they would go up into that frozen tundra, not being from the Middle East. But anyhow, so the logical choices were going to be Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, or Ukraine. So just because they're seeking to run away from and avoid persecution does not mean they're in cahoots with somebody. Okay, so that's where I find fault with that logic that they're presenting, is that they were in cahoots with the Ukrainians because they were going there. That doesn't make logical sense to me. I can see a logical thing that they were just trying to get away from Russia. So let me see. Okay. So I think we're pretty much about 90 way through. I would like to find some freeze-dried radishes. Man, I love radishes, and I'm going to have to can some radishes, I guess. I'm going to have to learn how to do that and get it done. I was sent a fantastic canning book, by the way, from Maggie. And so she sent me a great book. She sent me 2 really good books. One of them was on foraging, and the other was on canning. So thank you, Maggie, for those. That has been very, very productive. Okay. So we're at 45 minutes. We've covered all the content we want to for the evening. So let me refresh you on what our goals are. So, And let me just go ahead and go through the 52 weeks so far, or where we are so far and what you should have gotten up until now. So this is going to be up until the end of week 7. So we're going to do 28 purchases. Number 1, 6 pounds of salt. And I'm not going to go through the numbers. 6 pounds of salt, 5 cans cream of chicken soup, 20 pounds of sugar, 8 cans tomato soup, 50 pounds of wheat or flour, 6 pounds of macaroni, 20 pounds of sugar, 8 cans of tuna, 6 pounds of yeast, 50 pounds of flour or wheat, 8 cans of tomato soup, 20 pounds of sugar, 10 pounds of powdered milk, 7 boxes of macaroni and cheese, 50 pounds of wheat or flour, 5 cans of cream of chicken soup, 1 bottle of 500 multivitamins, 10 pounds of powdered milk, 5 cans cream of mushroom soup, 50 pounds of wheat or flour, 8 cans of tomato soup, 20 pounds of sugar, 8 cans of tuna, 6 pounds of shortening or oil, 50 pounds of wheat or flour, 5 pounds of honey, 10 pounds of powdered milk, 20 pounds of sugar. And then for next week, we're going to add to that 5 pounds of peanut butter, 50 pounds of wheat or flour, 7 boxes of macaroni and cheese, and 10 pounds of powdered milk. So that's kind of where we are, and that takes us up through week 28, I believe, in the 52 weeks that he has laid out. So let me see. Yeah, I did. I put those in the, they're in some of them. I will look for those, and I will put them in the show notes after the show tonight. So right below where the basic description of what we're doing, I will have links to them as well if you want to purchase them on Amazon. And then at some point, I will try to do a video on my library, and I may have to divide it up by subjects because there are so many. I teach the Roman Catholic initiation for adults, so when you want to become a Catholic, believe it or not, we go through our theology, and it takes 24 solid weeks of education before you're allowed to be either baptized or confirmed. And as a matter of fact, that's the longest ceremony we have of the year, and that takes place at the Easter Vigil. But I teach that. And so the students were asking me if I would come up with a list of my library of religious books that I have. And I said, well, so I spent one weekend putting together all of my religious books into a 4-page Microsoft Word document. And so I just decided, well, I'll go ahead and start doing the same thing with my prepper library, and I'll have to divide that up certainly into several different nonfiction titles, as well as I have a vast fiction. And there are such great fiction authors. This one that I'm reading now, that we're going to be talking about at the end of April, he is great. I'm taking all kinds of. So, for those of you who don't know, there's Franklin Horton, and that sounds like my daughter calling my wife. Where's the book I'm reading now? Oh, here it is, over here. So this is the one I'm reading now. This is going to be our April book, Infiltrated, with John Grammer. So what I do when I read a book is I will highlight things inside the book, and I keep a 5x8 card inside each book. And I talk about, these are some of the critical things that I'm learning from this book that I think are worth keeping a note of. So I will put down the page and where that learning is and what the learning is, basically a general idea about it, so that if at some point in the future I have forgotten, I can go through my index card file and say, what am I looking for? And I find it, say, oh, that book, that page, and I can go look for it. And things like Stephen Smith, fantastic novels, the Stonemont series. He's the one that taught me a Plains Indian thing, that when you're going back to your home, okay, you stand outside, and then somebody on the inside comes out to let you in. So if they say, come on in, when they're saying, come on in, each time they wave, that's how many people are inside coercing them to tell you to come on in. But if they look up at the sun and then at you and then back at the sun and then come back in, that's basically a sign that it's all clear, you can come in. Well, the other part of that I never really considered was Naomi, the character that's doing this. She tells the person who's with her, you stay here, because the way that I have to tell them that I'm going in and you are not coercing me or going to go in and be something of the bad nature is I have to go in by myself and tell them that you are with me. Then I will come back out and get you. So this whole exchange of how do you enter a home or enter an establishment in a post-SHTF world and let each other know that there's no coercion going on. That's one of the main learnings that I got from the Stonemont series by Steve Smith. So you when you read these books, look for little nuggets like that are in the books, and they're chock full of them. I probably have at least one 5x8 card full for every Steve Smith book that I've read, for every William Forstchen, 1 second after, 1 year after, 5 years after, his trilogy, a whole bunch of learning there. He's the one that convinced me I needed to get whole house solar and a rain catchment system for water. Then A American, which is Chris Weatherman. We did book 14 of his last month in his Getting Home series. Phenomenal books. I get a 5x8 card filled up from his books every book I read. Then, of course, Franklin Horton, another great writer, and we're doing his book day after tomorrow. So we're going to do his No Time for Mourning. We're going to be talking about that. I've got a 5x8 card filled up with a 3x5 card of learnings from his book that we'll be discussing. And then of course you've got John Grammer's books that he's going, and that's basically the America Overrun series. So there's all kinds of great learning you can get from these fiction books, just phenomenal. So strongly recommend that you get them. So let me catch up here. So Maggie still has her old confirmation book. Wow, that's great. So I'll show you what we're using now. So each week we have a handout. And this is the handout for week 1. So week 1 is 4 pages. 4 pages. Just talking about welcome into the process, what the process is, and all that kinds of stuff. Then we get into theology, and of course we cross-reference to the Bible. Everything is cross-referenced both to the Bible and to the Catechism. So it's really great. R2D2, well, welcome. So if you notice over here, okay, you can tell where I am. I'll quote St. Francis of Assisi quite often, and just fantastic. So. Franklin Horton. When somebody recommended I read his books, and I forget who it was, but I got 2 books, and I really liked the Mad Mick name. Just really caught me. And then so I found out that Franklin Horton has a website. I went to his website, and he says, "Don't read the Mad Mick series first. Read the Locker 9 series first, because Mad Mick is introduced in volume 2 or volume 3 of the Locker 9 series." So I read the Locker 9 series, then I read the entire Mad Mick series. Then I got into this series, which is the Borrowed World. So this one is separate from the other 2, but this one, he said, is his most realistic to where he is, his prepping, his family, and everything else. So this is basically, and I was talking to John Grammer. I had the same discussion with him. I said, when I talked to Chris Weatherman, when I talked to Steve Smith, when I talked with Franklin Horton, all of them have their wives' names, is the wife of the main character. They all have their children represented in there and everything else. And I said, so tell me, how is that with your book? He says, well, yeah, it follows the same pattern. He says, so one of the things is trying to keep the character straight. So the easiest thing to do is to try to assimilate that character after somebody you know, so that you don't have to keep intricate notes, because you know that person so well that you could probably use it. So kind of interesting stuff. Yes. So the old Baltimore Catechism is what I grew up under. Of course, Vatican II happened while I was in high school. So I'm a product of pre-Vatican II. So the new catechism, if I can get this bag to cooperate with me, this is my study bag that I take with me every Sunday. So I don't know if you've seen the new catechism or not, but here's the new catechism. And it's just, but it is so cross-referenced and attuned to the Bible and everything. It's just unbelievable. It's phenomenal. So let me see here. Where are we? Oh, okay. So Maggie says that A American does stand for angry American. He is very close to where you live, by the way, Maggie. You've probably run into him at some point or other. And if Yoxford says that I have found that the act of writing notes helps me remember without referring to the notes very often. And I'm 72, so I have to take notes, and then I have to have Helen remind me, number one, where I put my notes, and number two, to read them on an occasional basis. So that's where we are. Next week, we'll be talking about, and gosh, let me tell you, this is a phenomenal book. You really need to add it to your prepper library. I think it's a very valuable book, and I will try to do something about my library and the books that I strongly recommend. I've purchased some that aren't worth the money. I will tell you right now, and I'll put a link for it in the show notes as well. So what was the other thing I was going to put the link to? Oh, the 2 books that Maggie gave me. So I will put 3 books in there. I'll put the number one I think you need to have right now, and we did a review of it. I think it was 2 books ago. It might have been the 1 book ago, but that's Nuclear War Survival Skills. You need to get that, and you need to basically memorize that book, because I think it's going to be happening here in the very near future. This is a phenomenal book you need to add to your library. One of the things you need to decide before you because you're going to invest in your library pretty much the same way that you're investing in your preparations. So there are those who are, bug out people, and, everything is on the bug out bag, and everything is on bushcraft skills and things like that, survival, outdoor survival. That's great, and there are books that are focused on that. I think the old brown Boy Scout field book, the 1942 version, I believe it is, might be 1932 version, is one of the best books there is. These people are going to get into the Foxfire series. They're going to get into Dave Canterbury and, people like that. So those books, SAS Survival Guide, and those are the books for that genre of people and their own tips. Mine, I'm too old to go out and hump it in the bush. So I'm a hunker down kind of guy. So this is my castle. And so I'm more into gardening, canning, foraging, cooking, long-term storage of canned goods and freeze-dried and everything else. So you're going to find out that my library is going to be 90% hunker down, 10% bug out. And whereas other people may have different, they may have 90-10 the other direction, and there are some who may have 100-0, or there are some who may have 50-50. But you've got to kind of determine that yourself, is what is your focus going to be in surviving after whatever happens. And part of that also includes making sure you understand what you believe your primary threats are, and then acquiring the library that's going to support that. Now, if you're a bug out person, you're not going to have a big library. You're probably only going to have 1, 2, or 3 books because that added weight that you're going to be carrying in your rucksack that most people don't want to carry. Okay. So, okay, we will all join you there momentarily. So everybody, this is Gil's link. So I'm going to pin that, and we'll close out here so we can get over to see. Oh, Theoxford started book 8 of the Mad Mix series. I've only done 3 or 4 of the series. He's now got the young guy living with him is the last one I did. And Mad Mick was coming back from, is it Jack's house? Morgan? I forget the guy's name, but he's coming back. I get my characters mixed up from all the books I'm reading. I went through the Catholic classes also. Oh, Lightning 77 AT Hiker. Wow, welcome. Great to see you. And Georgia. So Maryland, I was in the Army Security Agency, which means that I was part of the National Security Agency. Most people don't realize that NSA is a DoD asset. They think we're kind of like CIA because we're so secretive, but that was at Fort Meade. So I spent some while up in the Glen Burnie, Laurel, Columbia, that area. Fort Meade is on the corner of 32, Maryland 32, and the Baltimore-Washington Parkway. So that's where I spent that time when I was there. So I'm familiar with Maryland, love Maryland soft-shell crab, miss the fresh seafood, Atlantic shore free seafood. It is unbelievable. Our headquarters for the Army Security Agency was at Fort Devens, Maryland. So getting, clam chowder and stuff like that, going into Boston on the weekends was just phenomenal. So the Anglican Church is 95% in accordance with the Catholic Church. Remember that King Henry VIII left the Catholic Church when the Pope, I think it was Clement VIII, refused to give him an annulment, a divorce from one of his wives so he can marry another one. So he got upset and he said, well, if that's the case, if you won't give me a divorce, I'll just take over your churches here, call it the Church of England or Anglican Church, and we'll have our own rules and everything else. And so King Henry VIII formed the Anglican Church by just basically, he was Catholic and he changed everything over to just English or Anglican name. They don't agree with the Pope, so they don't have any submission to the papal authority. The other thing is in 1517, when Martin Luther declared independence from the Catholic Church, he also eliminated some of the books from the Bible that were canonized in 425 AD at the Council of Rome. So the Apocrypha, basically, and those that were written in Greek during the Greek occupation, the Hellenistic occupation of Judea and Samaria and Galilee. So even the Jews in 120 AD rejected those books. But the way we believe is that those books were still in the writings at the time Jesus walked the earth. So, and he quoted from them. I can give you at least 6 different quotes where Jesus quoted from the Apocrypha. So if it was good enough for him to quote from, it's good enough for us to include in the Bible. So when King Henry VIII left the church, he adopted the Protestant Bible, which is short those works. So when Luther also had 6 books from the New Testament that he threw out, James Wesley and Martin and Calvin and a couple others reinserted those books back into the New Testament. So that was James, Jude, Hebrews, Revelation, portions of 2 other books. But anyhow, so the Lutherans threw those out. So the Protestant Bible is a little bit different from the Catholic Bible. There's more in the Catholic Bible than there is in the Protestant Bible, but the Anglicans adopted the Geneva Bible, which was the first English translation of the Lutheran Bible, let's say, with the other stuff added back in. Whew. Boy, that's a long explanation, isn't it? Anyhow, hello, Pat. No problem. Glad to see you here. Okay, so I did that basically as a history lesson. So for those of you who don't know that, James Wesley Rawls is what's being discussed here by Theoxorus. Yes, and James Wesley Rawls is a strong advocate of constitutional silver. In his books, in his 3 books, The Patriots, the I forget the names of them. James Wesley Rawls has a trilogy as well. And in those, he places a lot of emphasis on constitutional silver. So having rolls of Mercury dimes and Benjamin half dollars. Benjamin Franklin half dollars. I'm sorry. So yeah, he has a lot of great information. James Wesley Rawls also has a lot of good information on self-defense items and some and some of the stuff you're going to need if you're a bug out type of person. Great book series of books, absolutely. I have not yet interviewed him. I have not yet had him on the channel. He has a phenomenal website, by the way, and I forget the name of it right now. But you need to check it daily. Mine was on a tab I deleted so I could not have all this buffering that was going on. Let me see if I can't catch up, and then we can close this out. I finally found out at Half Price Books. We have a Half Price bookstore here. So you sell your books, you get 1/100th of what the value is, the printed value, and then they sell it for 1/2 of the printed value. And but I finally found out where the preparedness area is. I've been going there for 20 years, couldn't find it. Yes, Episcopal and Anglican are pretty close to the same thing. Okay. Oh wow, Devil Dog went from Lutheran to Catholic. We're seeing a lot of Protestants coming over to the Catholic faith. And, Edward Sri, Jeff Cavins left the Catholic Church, became a Baptist minister, then came back to the church. That's referred to, by the way, as crossing the Tiber. Is what the Protestants refer to it as. Is when somebody leaves the Protestant form of belief and go back to the Catholic faith. They call that crossing the Tiber, or going back to the Roman way. Okay, let's see here. Okay, so we are there. So I can show you in our catechism. There are certain requirements that Jesus placed on us that if you want to go to heaven, and there are certain ones by tradition. And so one of our traditions is that you have to be baptized. So we believe very strongly that there is one baptism. So it doesn't matter which Christian denomination you are baptized into. There is one baptism for the forgiveness of sins. And so all baptisms are valid, and all baptisms suffice for the remission of original sin. And so we believe that we're all going to go there. So for those of you who think that we think we're the only ones that are going to be there, that is not so. We believe that there is going to be one holy Catholic, which means conjoined or unified apostolic church, so that everybody on earth who professes to be a Christian is going to be a member of Christ Church, whatever name you want to give it. But we're all going to be there together. So that's how we believe. Kind of weird. But anyhow, let's go back to the book of Numbers, chapter 6, verse 24. And thank you and congratulations to all you people that I drafted to become moderators. Thank you so much for your tolerance. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you, everybody, for the way you take care of each other, the way you share with each other, and the way we interact with each other in chat. I really, really appreciate that. So the book of Numbers, chapter 6, verses 24, 25, 26. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord let his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord look upon you kindly and give you peace. So, this is Holy Week. So we have, of course, Palm Sunday was Sunday. Then we have Holy Week up until Thursday. We call that Maundy Thursday because that's when the Last Supper was. Then the Garden of Gethsemane, and then, of course, later, probably just after midnight, begins Good Friday, and that's when the Passion began. And so Friday, up until 9 o'clock, he was turned over to Pontius Pilate, and then was crucified and then died around 3:00 in the afternoon. So that's Good Friday. And then that begins what we call the Triduum, which is Latin for 3 days. So three, duum is dia is Latin for day. And then, when you decline the noun, it becomes Triduum, Tridium. And so that's the 3 days of Good Friday, Saturday, and then Easter. So on Saturday, nothing happens. The church is closed. The adoration chapel is closed. Everything is closed on Saturday. You're strongly encouraged to do private meditation and reflection and worship. And then on Sunday, of course, is Easter. So I wish you all the happiest of Easters. Also remember that Easter coincides with Passover. And so this year it's kind of coinciding with the end of Ramadan, which is a Muslim celebration and their form of penance. And so watch out. Things could get hairy sometime around Good Friday going into Passover and Easter. So please keep your head on a swivel and watch what's going on around you. There are those who don't want to be peaceful. So with that in mind, remember, we're all in this together. So please be kind, polite, and respectful to each other, because I really appreciate the way you are kind, polite, and respectful to each other, because the only way we're going to get through this is together as a group. Thank you so much for being here. I greatly appreciate you. I wish you God's peace, and keep on prepping. And hopefully we'll be here next Monday to see that. I'm going to start doing some shorter ones. I'm going to have some 1 minute ones out, some shorts out. I'm also going to start doing try to learn how to edit so I can show you some cooking, some survival cooking. And then we'll see what we can do to get this taken care of. Thank you all for your support. I greatly appreciate you. I'll have those 3 books probably within the next 15 minutes. Don't forget to go over where was that from Gil. Go over and support Gil on his channel. And that's Gray Man Prepping. Let me see if I can find it here. So click on this link and just join me over there. I will be there as soon as I can't find it. I will be there as soon as I get those things added to the chat. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.